Hello. Thank you as ever for joining me. It's always, always appreciated. And I don't know about you, but there are times I like silence, but there are times that I love to chat to people. But I will, because I'm used to that silence for the majority of my time, I I find that unless it's somebody that I know and love very well, and they will see that I am starting to nod, or that I'm starting to need to have a break, and they won't be offended, then I sort of have to soldier on through trying to, as my dad used to say, could do with 2 matchsticks to keep my eyes open. But I do miss chatting if people aren't around. I put music on, yeah. I'll have the radio or the television on, but it's not an exchange. And it's the same with seeing people. I see people going down the lane and give them a wave. That's good. But it's not the same as seeing somebody who is there that you are also talking to. But one of the senses that gets missed out very often on these considerations is the sense of touch. And from when we're born, that sense of touch is essential. The feeling of being held, of being comforted, of feeling safe and secure with somebody's arms and hands around you. Trying the different positions that the baby responds to. I always used to like the tiger in the branch, where the baby lies face down across the arm and you can stroke their back and their head is nestled into your elbow joint, the soft side of it. And you can give them a little gentle rock as well. And I have to say that I've been having quite a bit of touch at present, but it's always been touch for sorting out testing, touch for vaccinations, and those don't count for me. Though I was pleased when the last vaccination that I had, the young lady didn't say, "This is going to scratch a bit." And I just said, "Oh, thank you for not saying that." I said, because I would never describe the feeling of an injection as being a scratch. She said, "No, me neither, so that's why I never say it." But that feeling of touch, I miss. I miss just holding someone's hand, not holding it to take their pulse or something, but just to have my hand held. Yes, I get hugs from friends, and that's always good. But it's those little things like the holding of hands. And when my sons were young, if we're walking along hand in hand, I used to have what we call a Morse message with little hand squeezes, some by me to them, back to me. And you know, I can still remember that routine. Funny how some things stick in our little brains and other things, much more important things, off through they go without pausing to say hello or goodbye. They're gone. But that feeling of touch is so important. And yes, I stroke Mishka. He's not very good at reciprocating, especially if doesn't quite understand that he needs to touch my face with old claws drawn back in. He doesn't do it to scratch, but they're there. It's a bit like having a bit of acupuncture on your face. No, I won't bother with that, thank you, Mishka. But for me, those feelings of touch and security, I am convinced that it takes us back to our childhood. If we were held securely and shown love and safety, I think the nearest that I can come to it without actual touch is in my place of safety, my bed. And I can snuggle there and tuck the duvet in around my neck and feel protected. But it doesn't quite hit the mark. I used to go along to the local college and they had beauty therapy courses, and it cost very little to have a full body massage or a hot stone massage. Oh, that was my very favourite. But they introduced a new entrance policy and you had to be escorted in, and it lost that homely feeling. And you sort of felt, even though you were going to help them, yes, they helped you by giving you a massage, but it took away that pleasant feeling. And I used to go very often, and I knew the tutors, and occasionally they'd say, would you mind working with this particular young lady? She's struggling a bit. Will you, give her some encouragement? Yep, no problem. Or she has a problem with such and such. Will you chat with her about? Yep, that's fine. And I used to like that because I was serving a useful purpose as well. And I always remember I'd worked with one lass for a couple of years. And when she first started, she struggled with relating to somebody else. And she had a cold, and so I was able to say, do you know, if you could have a hanky in your pocket and then you're right next to the basin, so if you blow your nose and just wash your hands, but just let me know what you're doing. I said, that would be much better. Right. Wouldn't that break it? I said, no, that's better than sniffing. Okay. Anyway, when she was finishing, I knew it was the last time that we would be together, and I winked at the tutor and I said, oh, yes, well, I'm glad to see the back of you. You're the worst student I've ever worked with. And the look on her face. And I just said, come here. You have been brilliant. I've loved working with you. I've enjoyed our time together. And I'm sorry to pull your leg. But I knew that now she was able to take things like that. I couldn't have said anything like that earlier on, and I wouldn't have. But her face was a picture, and I'd got her a little gift, and I was able to give her that. But that was a personal touch. And I miss it. I sort of convinced myself that they're all young lasses, lots of makeup, lots of, here and now. And I was convinced they wouldn't want to work with my old lady skin any longer, so that was another reason to stop. But touch, never forget the value of touch. Just brushing my hair. Again, Mishka could do it, but without opposing thumbs, he'd struggle to hold the brush. That's the nearest I come to getting touch that is given, but I don't feel the giving of it, if you see what I mean. Because if you are sort of self-soothing, when you're rubbing on body lotion or something. That's not quite the same. You have to just be receiving rather than giving and receiving. For me. Okay, right. So on that note, I will say thank you for listening, and I shall go and brush Mishka and then brush myself. Well, my hair, my head. At least I don't have to brush the rest of me as well. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Look after yourself. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now. Bye.